Hi, I'm Rebecca, the Psych Coach, and today I'm going to be talking about the brutal topic that is ghosting. If you've been ghosted, if you're currently being ghosted, then listen to the 7 tips I'm about to give you to help you cope with the angst of it all. It's horrid. Tip number 1 is to remember the fact that people ghost for different reasons. That means that it isn't your fault. People will ghost because they're downright rude. People will ghost because they're really avoidant with their communication style. For example, they may not want to tell you actually they're not interested in you, so they seem to think that it's better just to sort of ignore you. Or they could just be ghosting you because actually they're pretty nasty, they've lost interest and they haven't got the decency to tell you. Whatever it is and why ever they are ghosting you, it is not your fault. Hold on to the fact that there's so much more about the person who's ghosting than it does about you. Tip number 2 is to try and engage in distraction. And by that, I mean healthy distraction. You sitting on WhatsApp, looking at when they were last online or when they were last on their dating app online and getting yourself into a frenzy because you know they're ignoring you and your messages have been left unread, but they're still busy online, will just get you more worked up. It will get you focusing on the injustice of it even more. So try and engage in healthy distraction. That means not doing stuff that's self-destructive. Healthy distraction would be being out and about, spending time with your loved ones, giving yourself a little project to get on with, trying to exercise. I know it's not going to take away from the angst of ghosting, and part of the horrid thing about ghosting is it's really pervasive, isn't it? It's on your mind the whole time. But the more you can try and distract yourself, even for a tiny bit, the better. And that actually brings me on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is trying not to chase the why too much. Chasing the why is where you essentially go on a wild goose chase trying to work out, but why did they do that? Why did they say they were going to see me next week and then they've dropped off? Why did they engage in lots of conversation with me and talk about future plans and talk about a holiday and suddenly disappear? Why were they so keen and now they're not? The reality is it is highly unlikely you are ever going to find out why you've been ghosted. Maybe you will, but it's better to work from the basis that you won't find out why you've been ghosted. And for that reason, try not to chase the why. Chasing the why is exhausting. And even if you get to a profound answer as to why it's happened, it probably won't stop the pain of it. So try hard not to chase the why and instead be accepting of the current situation, which is they've disappeared for whatever reason. It is horrid and you eventually need to be able to move on. Tip number 4 is trying not to get answers. That means trying not to call the person who's ghosted you, trying not to message them. The healthiest thing with ghosting can be the really tough part of accepting that it is just what it is. If you try and get answers from the person, you may be opening yourself up to even more hurt because they may not make any more contact with you. You may get sort of further ghosted. You may get totally ignored. So although it's really tough, making peace with the unknown, which I know can cause anxiety, is probably better than trying to get answers, trying to find out from, I don't know if you've got mutual friends, what's gone on, if you're trying to find out from them or by doing internet stalking about what's gone on. It's not going to be helpful, and all it does is increase the obsession. So do try and make peace with not knowing why you were ghosted. Tip number 5 is don't make excuses for the person. Ghosting is bad form. It's rude, it's cruel, it's simply not a nice thing to do, and it's really poor etiquette when it comes to dating and relationships. So don't make an excuse for the person and think, well, maybe they were really busy, maybe they, forgot. Don't make an excuse. If they've ghosted you, see it for what it is. It's really poor behaviour. If in a really exceptional circumstance it transpires that, there's been a personal tragedy or something awful's happened, you will eventually find out. But for the time being, if you're in the realms of being ghosted, don't make excuses for them. It's bad behaviour, it's poor form, and it's not someone you want to pursue a longer term relationship with. Tip number 6 is knowing you're deserving of better. Being ghosted can have a huge impact on your confidence. As I said at the start, it's a really negative thing to happen. And for a lot of people, it can have a huge impact on their confidence, especially if it has happened on multiple occasions as well. There's sort of a cumulative effect of being continually ghosted. You are absolutely deserving of better. No one deserves to be treated like that. And you need to know that. And if you know that, that means you're not going to do the other things I've mentioned, which is making excuses for them, trying to sort of chase the why and get to some profound realization as to why they've done what they've done. You are more likely to make peace with it if you can accept that you're more deserving of it, and you need to find someone who will treat you far, far better than they did. Tip number 7 is see the cathartic value of writing down how you feel. Maybe it would be helpful to put pen to paper and to write questions to the person about why you were left and why did they make promises about these things, and then put it in the bin, then leave it. If you are absolutely adamant that you want to send that person a message explaining how you feel, not asking them questions, then fine, go ahead. But again, work from the basis you're not going to get a response. The aim of you sending that message isn't to get a response. It is purely from a cathartic perspective, so you can express how you feel. If you're going to send a message, don't ask questions, simply express how you feel. But certainly see the cathartic value in writing down your feelings. And if it's just something you're going to write yourself and then put in the bin, you can write down your stream of consciousness and all the questions you want answered. And when you throw it away, at that point, you make peace with the fact you're not going to get those answers. Ghosting is tough, but you will get through it. And if you can put into practice those 7 tips, you will bounce back from it more quickly and be ready to eventually find the next person you're going to start a relationship with. If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit the subscribe button, like my channel, and I assure I will give you plenty more tips on how to use psychology in your day-to-day life.